G'day, welcome to Realms of Power. My name's Dr. Tony Rudd and I'm the host of this show. The purpose of Realms of Power is to turn your true aligned power on, or turn your tap on, as we like to say. We broke this down into 12 different realms in our very first episode, and we've had a whole lot of guests come on the show to help with their specific area that might help you turn your power on. Now, this is designed for people that might be stuck somewhere, down on their power, low on energy, or just want to live their most unbelievable, magnificent life. So my background is a chiropractor for 25 years, helping people turn their power on through alignment and optimizing of their nervous system. I've seen such phenomenal change. I've also been a life coach in the personal development field for almost 20 years, helping people physically, chemically, emotionally, spiritually, all the different realms. And it's been an honor to be able to help so many people. That's why we've done this podcast. Now, if you'd like to find out more, I have a personal website on www.tonyrudd.com.au, and we have a Facebook page for Realms of Power to access all the episodes. They're available on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all of the different platforms as well. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Have an awesome day. See ya.
G'day, welcome to the Realms of Power. My name is Dr. Tony Rudd, and I'm very honoured to be joined today by Dr. Malcolm Rudd. No relation, and we've had that joke many times over the years, of course. Mate, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's great to be here, Tony. 2 Rudd chiropractors in Australia, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember graduating and going, God, there's another Rudd. Who's this guy? And it took years before we got together, and we actually got together on a professional development workshop. And but so aligned in principle about the way we've practiced chiropractic and wanting to coach and inspire people towards optimal health. And mate, you are on fire at the moment, so we'll go into some of that in just a moment. But mate, I just had a burn to share a case with you actually this morning. I was just sitting down in the waiting room with a client, and this lady just, she's actually about to travel around the country. And I've been looking after her for a number of months. And when she came in, she was in a bad way. You know, she was beat down. She had, the typical things that people come to a chiropractor for: back pain, neck pain, all that stuff. But in just spending that time with her in the history and exam, we uncovered that she'd been in a pretty ordinary domestic violence situation for a number of years. So there was that emotional aspect of boundaries and spirituality of being made wrong. And so her energy field was down, as well as just her spine and uncomfortableness. So in creating the vibe we've created in our clinic of just giving people a space, she just sat with me, and I got real emotional, mate, because she was just sharing how life's turned around, of not just feeling better, amazing in her back and her neck, but her energy's better, her strength and boundaries. She's left that person now. She's creating a new life and a new vision. And mate, you and I have seen stories like that so many times. And I just felt a burn to share that with you, because sometimes we forget, in coaching people about their practices and about themselves, the actual stories that people share. So, mate, I'm sure you've had so many of those stories. In me sharing that, as one just come to mind straight off the back, I want to start with the positive.
Oh, yes, so many. So, I mean, it's as a practitioner, it's so important to give people a safe place, to give them a safe place to go to share, and things that they share with us as chiropractors. A lot of the time, they have not shared that with another human being. So not with their partner, not with their with their family, not with their friend, and they're opening to you as a practitioner. So that's a skill set that someone can learn. But as far as the case goes, I have to go through the memory banks here. I mean, I've been a chiropractor for 30, how many years is it now? 32 years now. So 30 years now, I have to go through the memory banks to come up with, there's so many people that we've helped like that. And if I think of the one that's just tip of my tongue right now is a person whose life is completely changed with chiropractic, as we see this every day. So his name's Dan. He had a motor vehicle accident when he was 18. And he had a severe head injury, has been basically in a wheelchair, non-verbal for 30 years. and they tried everything to try and help him. They'd been everywhere. And his mum said that was basically, she saw some marketing that we did, and she thought, oh, I think he's in some sort of pain. We should see a chiropractor. And he ended up in the practice. And what I said to her, after I'd done the x-rays and the scans and everything that we could do to analyze his nervous system, I said to his mum, I said, yes, I think he is in pain. I said, look, there's an opportunity here. Yeah, I think he is in pain. But do you want an opportunity to wake up his nervous system? And she said, yes, I'll leave no stone unturned. And long of the short of it, he started care in the practice, and he is completely different now. But we have conversations with him. He's just a completely different person. His life has turned around with chiropractic after 30-year brain injury. That's amazing. And no, that's a fairly recent one. He's now been under care for about 3 years, and he's just got better and better and better over time. Just amazing what can happen, isn't it?
Absolutely. What a great story. Thanks for sharing. And, for the listener out there, we've talked a number of times about turning your power on. And if your body's in alignment, your brain and nerve system works better, and it can be just that simple. And part of our conversations, Mal, over many years has been inspiring people to just understand that bigger picture. And of course, you've gone on from there to realize I'm not just going to work in my own practice, but I'm going to inspire other chiropractors to get that message out there. And so tell us about your journey through the 30 years of practice to now being one of the premier coaches of chiropractic in the world, I'll say.
Yeah. Yeah. So our journey, I was an associate chiropractor, and then realized that I didn't know everything. I wanted my own business, got my own business, and did it okay. Then my accountant suggested I get a coach to go to the next level, which I did. I had a great chiropractic mentor who helped me. And I realized over time, my practice grew at that time, and I was serving a lot more people. I realized over that time, because I came president of the Chiropractic Association here in Western Australia, that I loved mentoring and helping other people. And I recognized that I can only see so many people with these hands. And if I can coach and train and inspire other chiropractors, I can have much bigger reach, which is why I've gone down the pathway I have. Learning, the reason we're at that workshop, of course, was learning the skill set in how to coach someone, how to do, and taking that plus the systems and the procedures and everything else that we need to do. So in the journey now, I have essentially I have associate run practice. I still love chiropractic. I'm still on the tools, so to speak. And my biggest passion is sharing the wisdom, sharing the what I've learned over time to have chiropractic to thrive worldwide, because it is so underutilized in the world, and I know the world will be a much happier, healthier place. It is literally a strategy for healthy human beings when people have chiropractic as part of their life.
Mm, absolutely. And you mentioned there before, the personal growth work that we've done together, sometimes it is our own internal blocks of using our power of our voice, or following through on even a recommendation for a client in the practice, or, maybe something else going on in your life, and that's distracting you from being able to get the message across. In all of those years of coaching, if you could make a summary for our listener of how they could just use that internal voice and inspiration to stand into their power.
Yeah, well, as you know as well, a lot of people, what's holding them back from a successful life is sabotaging beliefs and behaviors that they've had through their life. So it does help to have someone, workshops and coaching or whatever, to get through those things is important. Ultimately, it's when people, when you get them, and this is an iterative process. No one can tell you what success looks like for you. No one can tell you that. Through coaching and training, through coaching, it's unraveling for someone what success looks like for them. What is their vision? What does success look like for them? What kind of leader do they need to be to achieve that outcome? What kind of person do they need to be to be that person? Because when someone's life is not on track, or they're not standing in their power, it always comes down to, what do you want to achieve in life? Because your belief systems drive your behaviors drive your outcomes. What do you believe? Why do you believe that to be true? There's so many aspects to this conversation as to why someone is not standing in their power. Once people attach to that bigger vision, when they understand what kind of person they need to be achieve that vision, then of course there's systems and training and everything you can do around that. Of course, if it's a practice, if it's an individual, it's necessary to keep on revisiting that. It's not a here's what I want to achieve and stick that in a drawer somewhere. It's living, breathing that, understanding what matters to you, what are your values, what do you want to, what's most important to you. All these things are foundational to stand with certainty and power and go in the direction that you want to get. Someone without vision is a rudderless ship. It almost starts with that, with the vision.
Mm. And what's helped you find your vision, Mel? You've obviously built the practice, being drawn to that, being drawn to inspire other people. Where do you get really clear on what your vision was?
So that has definitely changed over time. So I look at it like Fawkes the Phoenix from Harry Potter, is that it seems to be every few years I burn down to the ashes and take a new vision forward into the next iteration. So my vision has definitely evolved over time. Didn't know what was possible, really. And looking back, I can sort of see that there was an inkling of that vision right through, but I wasn't clear on it all the way through. So it's that sort of 2 to 3 to 5 year visions and working towards that. And then it's what's next. And so it's really just getting very congruent with what's important to me, and it has evolved over time of what I can achieve. I put literally hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars into training, and that has certainly helped to do that. That's what I help other people to do as well, of course, is to get clear on what that vision is. So it's a lot of meditation, a lot of vision casting. I have a morning routine. I do meditation and so forth. These are all things that have helped me to establish what success looks like for me. And I use vision boards. I use a whole lot of things to anchor in what is important. There's lots of strategies and tools you can do to get clear on what is important to you, and not using projected values from other people. And what are my core values as well? It's been very important in that as well. So iterative process. It's a process that has it's evolved over time for sure.
Yeah. And that investment of both money and time is really at the heart of it. It's this drive underneath that that's like, okay, where do I get the help? Someone must have discovered this. How can I get that support? And that's a fast track way to get you the results and put you on the projection path that you've been on. And, bringing along with that is, of course, often the people around us. So you have an amazing wife, Kate, who also is very involved in the coaching thing that you've been involved in lately, the Remarkable Practice. What a great system that is. And it's not just the system, because I know the founder is really important on a lot of the tools you're talking about, the vision, the bigger picture, the individuality of that application of those techniques to the practice that you're in. And I believe your son also went off to become a chiropractor. Is that right, Mel?
That's correct. Yeah. So he was originally going to be a pilot. We found out when he was that he only had one kidney, and he found out to go to the Air Force, and he found out that he would not be accepted by the Air Force as a pilot with only one kidney. And I made very sure that he was a tech CA assisting me in the room, and he's been all the chiropractic seminars and so forth. So he decided when he couldn't be a pilot, he was going to become a chiropractor. So he's now in his 3rd year. He's got 2 more years to go. It's the Australian Chiropractic College in Adelaide. So yes, he was my last hope. I've got three boys. He was my last hope to be the chiropractor.
Yeah. And look, sometimes, as you well know, roadblocks come and get us, can have a good vision, and
Oh, yeah.
path can be changed. Tell us about the recent change that happened in that path.
Yeah, well, that was a phone call that no parent wants. My wife and I were talking to our son James about 15 minutes late. About 15 minutes later, we got a call from his housemate that he'd been involved in a motorcycle accident. He was actually going on to a chiropractic study group on a particular chiropractic technique, and he rides a motorcycle, and he got slammed at around 70 k's an hour straight into his leg. And we're in Perth now. I booked flights for my wife and I within a few minutes. His housemate, he said his housemate said, no, he'll be okay. And then about 15 minutes later, he ran back again, saying, no, you need to be here. It's pretty bad. So he had his leg was a mess, completely degloved. It took all the muscles off the front, multiple fractures in his leg. It was bad. That's a roadblock for sure. And my son, who's had no medications in his life, I think he's had all of them now. He had to have the green whistles, and he was in agony, which that's a roadblock to health. He knew it even, because there's no way he could have got through that process. And thank goodness for that there is that emergency care in hospitals. So is there the way that they look at health? I mean, he was arguing he didn't need Panadol, and why does he need this? So he's still got the chiropractic principles there, but he's getting through it. So now it's now 3 months on. He did have his foot was stuck in calf flexion. It was his calf would not let go. Oh, he had 2 months of physio and it was doing nothing. So I used a specific chiropractic technique on him and got his foot flat in 2 days, actually, using applied kinesiology. And so he can now walk without crutches, which is amazing. So he's managed to catch up on all his exams. He's actually about to go into his final third-year exams, and he's got 2 more years to go. So yes, it's a roadblock, and roadblocks happen, right? Roadblocks happen. That he wanted to keep with the year group. He wanted to make sure that he moved through that year group and graduated as a chiropractor. That was important to him. That was his vision, and he's working towards it no matter what the roadblock, really. So.
What a amazing story, and I'm so grateful for you and your family that he's able to get through that. And for some people, they might not be aware again of the full power of chiropractic. Yes, he needs that surgery and emergency care, but a lot of people that have had a trauma, had an emergency care, wouldn't then think about the impact on their spine and nervous system and how that might relate to the rate of healing that he would now be going through, having had lifetime care, being in alignment. What have you noticed there? The recovery time post-trauma, we'll use your son as the example, but in cases you would have seen before, an improved recovery time. And we're talking about turning your power on. So that's the innate spark of the body to be turned on. Would you rather have that when you're healing?
Oh, absolutely. Because we know that when the nervous system is the primary system that runs everything else. So a lot of people, when they have trauma, yes, they have the emergency care. Unfortunately, the allopathic medical system, they're looking only at the trauma. They're not looking at how is the innate body's healing. How is that working? So it's so important to have the spine working. Because to have health, you have to have a healthy nervous system. To have a healthy nervous system, you have to have a healthy spine. And yes, that was very important in his recovery, and he's recovered extremely well. And in the hospital, they did great work with him. The surgery, I mean, they kept his leg. He was at great risk of losing his leg, in fact. So he needed that. What he also needed, which unfortunately they didn't offer in the hospitals in Australia, they don't offer chiropractic in the hospitals. That's actually what helped him to be able to walk. Because they said, just because he's got titanium and so forth in his leg, they said, just walk. And he said, I can't, because he's not a ballerina. He can't walk on his toe. It was completely stuck. And it's just not in their paradigm that you can boost something with the nervous system to turn off that muscle, which is in just total lockdown, would not move at all. The hospital did great work. He needed to have very specific chiropractic work to turn his power on so that he could actually have his foot flat and he can walk, which he now can. He's got a limp, but he's getting there.
Mate, that's amazing. All right. Well, look, in doing the retreat coaching and the workshops you've done, part of our vision at Realms of Power is to even run retreats for chiropractors. I spoke to you about this not that long ago. And I think if more chiropractors could spread that message of literally just what you just said, improving the body's ability to heal itself, the public would be more aware of that. I think that'd be a great avenue. And as we said, you are flat out with coaching, but we'd love to have you on the team, mate. If you ever get a spare weekend, we'll try and line it up.
Always, mate. Always, Tony.
Yeah, man. But retreats and stuff, in going down that path, that is a wider thing than chiropractic. So let's step out of chiropractic for a moment and just talk about the individual, the person, their personal power, and that sort of thing. What have you found has been one of the greatest learnings of people turning their own personal power on?
Yeah, I'm going to use my wife, who is a non-chiropractor. So when I did the work with you in this to become better individual, better chiropractor, and so forth, my wife saw the direction that I was going and realized that if she did not change, I actually worked on doing the same sort of thing, doing workshops, doing growth on herself through experiential workshops and so forth. We now have the most amazing relationship because of that. So people who this is not a thing that's just for chiropractors. This is for everyone needs to work on their own power. There's so much baggage, so much wounds and conditioning that people have had over a lifetime, and no one teaches you at school or whatever how to do this. There are specific people like yourself, like myself, who can actually help to guide people on the path to being a better human being, just more of themselves, and not living through those wounds and conditions. It's such an important part of elevating humanity, really. That's how I see it.
Yeah. And would you say, as a parent, we've talked about parenting, because a lot of the wounds and conditioning is set up in that family dynamic. Would you say, having learned what you've learned, you've even become a more, I don't want to say better dad, but just clearer on what role you are as a dad?
Yeah, 100%. I said actually in my children, because I had two children who were very young when I started to do this sort of work myself. And my youngest child, who is the chiropractor, completely different person. So as I've definitely improved as a father, as a partner, as everything. So it's improved the whole dynamic. We have an amazing relationship with our family. And I know that if my wife and I did not do the work that we did, we may not even be a family unit now. So this is for everyone, for humanity, for future generations, for everyone. So become better dad, better mother, and passing on some of these things to the children, so that it doesn't set up as many of those sabotaging behaviors that a lot of people do get in younger years. So it's an important thing for every family, if you ask me.
Yeah. And as a dad of the people in this generation, there's a different challenge that, say, you and I didn't have as we were growing up, and that is the whole realm of social media and the phones. AI obviously is a massive thing now. So we're just really parenting a different generation. So as we didn't have that same technology and access growing up, our parenting can't be the same as sort of, we've got to adapt and we've got to morph to the current society. What role do you see with the new technologies, the availability of instant information on the current younger generation coming through?
Yeah, I mean, it is a real challenge that we're having. I mean, we know that the younger generations are they're more about work-life balance and so forth, and unfortunately, a lot of these devices and the instant information, as you said, is highly addictive, which is a hard part. So, of course, limiting the amount of exposure they get to that at a young age is a good thing to do. Making sure that there is a thing to us is how our family, that there's no technology, not sitting there on their phones and so forth. So limiting as much as possible, creating a great family unit that's not reliant on that as well. It's a hard one, because they do exposure to these things. They are highly addictive things. It's as much as possible to limit at an early age when a lot of these formative things are happening. That's what I've done as a parent anyway, over time. So yeah, and I know that the government's trying to put blocks on social media and so forth for this reason, because it's a real problem for younger impressionable people, for sure. It's limiting it. It's having open communication so not being that distant dad who is just using it as a babysitter sort of thing, is trying to avoid that as much as possible, to limit the exposure, and just have such open communication with them that they'll share anything with you. Some of the things that my sons share with me, I sort of wish they didn't share with me, but they're very open in sharing, and that's the sort of environment that you want to have, right? Yes. So yeah, it is a different age, for sure. It's how do you adapt to that? How do you be a parent while still, as they get older, be a friend to them, be a confidant, someone they're willing to share with. Because if you don't have that relationship, it's going to make it all that much harder.
Yeah. I love what you said, because there is the addictive side of the phones, and we can't stop it. So if we're just saying we're just limiting and you can't have anything, and don't replace it with the family unit, replace it with the connection and the other positive thing, they'll just use it as the babysitter, and that's where it doesn't work really well. But we've got to be able to adapt to living with these tools and devices. They're not going away. So it's about finding that connection and relationship through it together. And I love that you guys have that family unit. I'm sure, what would be an example of something you guys do as a family unit where where not everyone's just checking their phone the whole time when you're doing the thing? What would be an example of something that you would do?
Yeah, I mean, and there's the obvious one. That's one very important one. I mean, we do a lot of, like, whether it's just the things coming out. We travel a lot. It's not like we're on devices. We're just we go on hikes, go on all this sort of. There's none of this. We have a property in Tujay, which is outside of Perth. We don't have electricity there, so we have a whole lot of time. I just can't do it. Like, there's no computers or anything there. So we go and have fun. We go and get party, and the dog our gold beaver turns out black, and it's doing all that sort of stuff. And as you said, you can't, yes, you can limit it when they're younger, but you can't limit that forever. It's what do you have to create that great family environment is so important. Well, it's certainly been important in my life, and I can see, they're good human beings. And that's what I want as a dad. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like camping, getting out in nature, it's different for everyone, of course. It's what you've got access to and availability to, but being creative and creating what that fun looks like for you. That's your message that you're sharing with the audience here today. And I'll tell you what, I don't reckon there's anything more powerful than that. We can create, financial freedom and business success and life purpose there, not looking after the family and not having that unit. And that's different for everyone. Whatever that looks like for someone is certainly a miss if you don't get that right. So I think that's a beautiful message, mate. So can you tell us a little more about the actual coaching you do? Because if someone is listening to this and wants to get in touch with you, what sort of coaching do you specialize in, Dr. Malcolm?
Yeah. So the coaching I do with the Remarkable Practice that you mentioned before, there's 4 seasons to the chiropractic career. So there's launch, build, scale, and exit. So launch is generally the first year of practice. Build is trying to start to team members and so forth and master systems. So then it goes into scale, which is adding other chiropractors to create durability, scalability, and transferability in the end. And then exit. So how do people exit profitably? And so they pass on their legacy down the track. So my specialty in coaching, I work a lot on the systems and procedures, but also the headspace. So it's a bit of both. There's some chiropractic coaches who are working just in the headspace. Some are just working this. It's working in both. You've got to work on the whole person to actually achieve that. So I do carry that skill set that you have as well. Of course, with the how do you work on that headspace thing, we have systems for everything. So we predominantly work in the build to scale, scale to exit area, all aspects of practice, whether it's the clinical, the systems, the procedures of attraction, conversion, retention, team building, whatever. So I have coaching clients all over the world. I called just before this, they're in the US, I've got people in Europe, New Zealand, everywhere. So coaching people everywhere on that so that they can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. Because a lot of practitioners, they put so much into their practice at the expense of their health, at the expense of their family. And that's not how it should be, in my opinion. It's a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. So,
Look, I absolutely love it. And those principles for anyone that has been in business would apply pretty much to any business. And using sound business principles on the scale of, where they want to take that thing. Some people don't want to sell. Some people don't want to have associates. Like everyone just gets to know where they're at on that path and journey in chiropractic, but also in any business. So I love that model. And if they were to get in touch with you, I know you run seminars. Is there a way that they could get in touch with you, Mel, just to sort of find out more about what you're doing?
so theremarkablepractice.com is a website, so you can find out more about the Remarkable Practice there. If you want to find out about me personally, look up Malcolm Rudd on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever, in that way as well. We do have events in Australia and New Zealand and soon to be in Singapore. And also I'm going to London tomorrow, actually, in London as well, and the US. So all over the world, doing events on the business side and on the system side. So yeah, so they're the main ways. So the remarkablepractice.com would be the best way to find out more about that, and the what season of business you're in, and put in the right conversation, because we've got programs for all those things.
Well, mate, you are on fire, and I just really acknowledge you for everything you're doing, well, for yourself and your journey and your family, but for the profession as a whole. You're making this profession greater worldwide, and that is a legacy. And a lot of people already know the amazing things you're doing. So that is phenomenal. And part of Realms of Power and the group that I've connected with, we'd love to have you on board, as I said, down the track next year or something. But mate,
I'd love to do it too, Tony.
oh, mate, we have so much fun in these things too. Like, it's, for me, you know me, I miss the fun. And so, well, you'll definitely be having a laugh if you come along. So, yeah, mate, I just want to thank you.
Hopefully there's no four-wheelers involved.
Yeah, I want to thank you for coming on the show. And just, if have you got a final bit of wisdom or a message for our listeners to turn their power on?
The message in you got to get very clear on what success looks like for you. That's the most important that I've found gets people grounded. And some people, they can work that out themselves. Some people actually need coaching to get that. They have no idea what success looks like for them. So that is the starting point. And the words of wisdom to turn your power on is, you need to invest in yourself, and need to invest in yourself to actually to fast track. Don't go through life doing the same thing over and over again. Invest in yourself is the best invest ever make. Hands down. So invest in you to get to be the best person, the best version of the person you can be, makes all the difference to your life and future generations as well.
Oh, mate, I love it. And I'll just tack on to that because it came up to me really strong. I think the block that people have is when they compare themselves to others. You're saying you've got to find the success for what it looks like for you. And when people comparing themselves, oh, I'm not as good as Malcolm, or I'm not as good as this, or whatever, that's where they really get blocked. So, mate, I love that message. Thank you so much for sharing it.
Yeah. Yep. That's you're welcome. Good to hang out in Zoom.
Awesome, man. Look, I'll leave you to it and have a great time over in London. Thanks for coming on the show. To our listeners, have an awesome day. See ya.
Wow. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Realms of Power. I have such gratitude for your time and energy, and the vision to join us with turning your true aligned power on. To take your power up another level, you could share this episode with someone who you think would benefit, or make a comment online that would help us get this information out there. We'd really appreciate your love and support. Hope you have an awesome day. See ya.